welcome again to another episode of Couples Talk. And as usual, I'm here with my willing, yes, willing, willing, trusting partner to support me in this venture. And we have another good topic for you this evening. This one here is marriage and business, but that's a shortened version of it. You might be wondering, as usual, marriage and business, what is she talking about? Well, sometimes as couples, we decide to venture into something more than just marriage, which is starting a business together, a family owned business. And we think because we're married, it's so easy, but sometimes it gets a little tricky because there are a lot of emotions in play. The dynamics of working together could sometimes create a little friction and conflict. So we thought it best to discuss this topic this evening and to even highlight 6 tips that can assist us in terms of how we can make this arrangement better. Anything you want to share, Joshua?
Yes, I'm going to be the first to tell you I did not pick this topic. Charlene picked this topic. I
Actually,
was.
I did not pick the topic.
All right, so
The
you need to
topic was
clarify.
given to me. So I think the person who gave me the topic, maybe they felt inspired maybe by their own marriage, or maybe they figure we need to discuss this topic this evening. So I found it rather interesting when they told me, talk about marriage and business in the family, the dynamics of it and how does it work. And I said, it's actually very interesting. It's actually a trending topic. Why not discuss it? So here we are.
I'll tell you this much. Charlene and I have run several business together. And I would think we've run some successful businesses. The last business we ran, we made a profit, and I think it's it's difficult to run new business, start a new business, and to be able to turn a net profit, within 3 years or so on. Um, the last business we ran together, we closed simply because we were migrating, and even now running a business together again. And I think this is 2 years running. We have been able to turn a net profit as well. I will tell you this much. I told myself growing up, I will never work with my spouse. And I say that in the context of it's difficult. It's I've always seen there is so much dynamics in emotionally involved that takes into account when you're running a business, and you have to deal with um, objectives, different career perspective, and it's easy for you to blow off an employee that you just don't like, or you have an agreement with that person. You normally could go home to your wife and bash. You can't go home to your wife to bash your wife when she's have a disagreement with her on the work site. You got to find different ways of dealing with it. So I believe you should not get into this without thinking and making sure that you set the foundation to have a successful business as well as working together. That's my caveat. I never thought I'd do this, and it's still difficult. I still wonder, why am I doing this? Why don't we simply have a consultant or just a different? Because it is difficult. Hopefully, in 5 years from now, I think the same way, but you could hold me to that. I'll come back 5 years, mark the date, and I'm going to try to do this episode again to let you know, did we continue? Was it successful, or did we hire a consultant and said, hey, you know what, you run your side, I run? So it's still to be determined. It hasn't been written, but let's share some tips that I think is actually helpful. And I'm happy for the person that chose this, because many of this might be very helpful to me, because I'm still trying to figure out, is this the right decision to run a business with Charlie Finney?
And interesting of the first business that we started, it was his idea. He pulled me into it. And then I was just there. I tried to figure out what to do. And me being someone who love a challenge, figured it out and pushed through because I hate to fail. So I think that what propelled me to learn something new because I became an IT teacher and it was interesting teaching people access, and it was so nice when I was really sick, I couldn't speak, and I asked him to teach the class, and the class said, "Don't come back, send back Charlie."
Yeah, that was a bit
I think that
hit
hit
on
it.
my
Yeah, I think that
ego.
hit his
Like
ego, seeing that he was the one who
someone
knew
like my wife
access
better
more.
than me
Yeah,
at something that I thought I was better at.
yes,
But so it goes. One of the things I would see with a lot of these tips, the things that you do to make your marriage better is almost in line with the things that will work to make you run a business better with your wife. A lot of them correlate. So the first one says be nice to your partner. It always pays to be nice, no matter how you look at it. And it's something interesting. A lot of times we are more patient, nice, understanding with other individuals than we are with our spouse. I have no idea why. I don't know if it's just the high expectations we have on each other. We think that we should know. You think your spouse should be able to read your mind, so you're not as patient. You just think that they should have done better. They should understand better. Why did they do this? But it's just a rule of thumb at the back of your head. Be nice to your partner. It says it's important to show your spouse the same level of courtesy and respect that you would expect from anyone else, even if it is difficult at first. And as I said, I do believe there's just a higher level of expectations you hold on your spouse, and you're not as patient. So you have to be intentional to talk and treat your spouse, especially in a business environment. You would normally do that under your regular communication, but in a business environment where there is conflict, where there is a difference of opinion in what approach we should take in respect to whatever business venture or business decision, just remember that this is not just your business partner, but this is also your spouse. And you should be nice to each other because it's such a blessing that you could show to others when there is a successful. Because there's a statistic that we share later. It's There's not a lot of successful um, business entrepreneurs that run business as part of that type of relationship. And that means it's not for the faint of heart. It's not. There's other way approaches that you could take. You don't have to get into business with each other, and you gotta know if you're actually meant for it. Still trying to figure out if that's us, but I'll let you know in 5 years.
listen to your partner. As we mentioned, it's the same thing that applies in a marriage. It says would apply in the business. Different personalities, different views, different opinions, different thought process. So we need to spend more time listening to each other, what it is we have to offer, and how we could benefit each other in the business. Because the difference of opinion and different dynamics could create conflict. So many times we rush through it because one partner may be stronger than the other, but we need to listen to each other.
It says there.
When it comes to arguments, avoid starting one by always letting your partner finish what they are saying. So your partner is talking, you're getting frustrated. Counter 100, listen to what they say, because you might be surprised the time you take to listen to what they say might actually help you to formulate a constructive response rather than rushing the response.
All right. Understand your partner's business style. In most cases, you may have different business style, and I think understanding your business style should help you and make a decision early on in probably what business function you should take in the business. If you find that your partner seems to just be better with the finances, they're a little bit more stern, and that's probably our relationship, then that should align to what functional role your partner should have. Like in my case, I'm strong at sales, I'm more of a people person. So I take most of the sales and marketing function of the business. Charlene is more logical, she's better at numbers, she's able to talk to clients to let them understand the seriousness of where we is, with your bill and so forth. I'm always your friend and I'm always trying to get there. So we recognize right off the bat, I'm not meant to be a CFO. She's the finance person in the business. She deals with most of the admin. I hate filling out forms. I have no idea why. It just seems to just give me a headache. Even if it's just filling out the the immigration form when we're landing. I just don't know, just
I
to
don't
fill
even
out these
think he
things.
knows what the immigration forms look
Yeah,
anymore.
it's we just, so when we travel, she do the forms. I might do some of the talking and where we're going and try, but you just know your style, know your partner's business style, and do your best to trust the person to do their version of it. And I think that's part of one of the challenge I face, because having a day-to-day business and not just the business that we're running, you are accustomed to doing some of those functions in maybe in other respects, and now you gotta adjust it with your business or with your spouse and so on, and then you have a difference of opinion because you think I could have done this better, or maybe this is another way you should do it. But this is your partner's style, and this is your partner's part of the business. It's getting to understand each other and trusting each other to kind of do their part of the business well. All right. Number four.
Help your partner. I think that just sounds like exactly what it means to say. So, put up on screen, please. So, according to Azriela Jack, the author of Permission to Prosper, what working wives crave from their husbands and how to get it. So she says that couples are more likely to succeed when one spouse pitches in and helps out with the other's tasks. So sometimes we have tasks to do, and one spouse might not be doing anything, but if you help out, it actually makes the workload easier, and it makes the combination of working together becomes easier, because that happens in the home, in the marriage, in the business. Once you take that particular action, it becomes easier on both parties in terms of the functionality in the relationship. She also estimates that only approximately 5% of all couples who enter into full partnership businesses have successful careers as entrepreneurs because they work together as a team. When we first started our business, well, the first one, um, Joshua kind of set me up, but I'm a quick learner, and I pushed through, and I realized it was actually interesting doing a business, and I became an IT teacher, well, at a school, and of course at our private school. And I found it rather interesting in how to interact with persons, so it got me an opportunity to apply my psychological aspect into a teaching style mode, and I never thought that was possible. And I think because of that, it helped me to become a better teacher. So it was a very interesting and exciting experience.
I think this statistic is scary. Noticing that only 5%, or approximately 5% of couples that enter into full partnership business are successful, and that's why it doesn't mean because you are a husband and wife, a couple, or so on, that you might be meant to do the business together. It's you got to make sure that your temperaments are right. It might be that you might be best suited to be a silent partner in the business. Yes, you are a partnership. You've invested, and you're reaping it, but it don't necessarily mean that you might be suited to be an active part of the business. It might be best to have someone that has that expertise to be dealing with the day to day, and maybe you're just there to veto the decisions and things like that. It don't always have to be that you are running the business together. The fifth point I will raise is set aside business hyphen free time. And this is basically saying that running your business together, there's always something to discuss about the business. And because you're with each other all the time, and this is critical, it's easy to discuss it one time. You're at a table, we can discuss business before we go to bed. Remember, we're supposed to do this. And before you know it, you're using the time you are together to doing what you think is, hey, I could catch up on this decision that we need to make, and you're discussing the business 24/7, that you just don't even take the time to discuss each other, what's important to you, how you're feeling, joking and having time without talking about the business. And as simple as it may sound, you could get into a routine that all you talk about, or all that makes you or connects you, is the business. That God forbid the business goes or something happens and you now have to connect with each other. You don't, because you don't have any special moments, you don't have any unique memories or anything like that. So it's important for you to set time aside for you to just focus on your relationship. For some people, it might be setting a routine. I know for us, it's been important to set a date night for our marriage, or sometimes we set certain ground rules. It doesn't always work. Like, no cell phones at the table, or you, and even then, we're talking about even the conversation. You got to be intentional about having a conversation that is relevant to each other, and just for that period of time, put aside the business talk. All right. And the last one we will share with you.
When not to work with your spouse. So if your marriage is already rocky, working together is like having a child in an attempt to renew the marriage. It does not work, and you end up with even more complications and reason to disagree, only to go into business only go into business with your spouse because you have to, because you have planned.
I think
Oh, something sounded
yeah.
odd there.
So you could read over the last
All
sentence.
right. So it does not work, and you end up with even more complications and reason to disagree, or find a mentor. So let your spouse help in other areas.
No, still messed up. So sorry. Yep, I, I think I left out. Um, yeah, it's just two words. I left out there. So sorry, Rashawn. That was just
Oh my goodness.
not making any sense. Right.
All
So
right. So
it's just
all right, so you want me to start from the beginning? So
yeah.
if your marriage is already rocky, working together is like having a child in an attempt to renew the marriage. It does not work, and you end up with even more complications and reason to disagree than before.
That's it.
See,
Two
I
words I
knew
left out.
something was wrong with that statement.
Yep. Uh,
Oh Lord, only go into business with your spouse because you have planned to do so, and you both want to work together. You both want to work together.
for now, as I said, check us back in 5 years. We'll let you know how it's been good.
If you need someone to help you save your business, hire a business consultant or find a mentor. Let your spouse help in other areas that don't involve your business
Yeah, so don't feel pressured that
because you're
because
married.
you're married, you have a business, you have a business idea. It means that you have to get into business together. You gotta trust each other to know that okay, this may not be my strength. This is your idea. This is where you are good at. Um, you focus on that. Maybe you might need to hire some persons, a consultant, a mentor, just to make sure that you get the support on the business side. I may be there just to be a voice, just to make sure they financially contribute to the start of it, and just to keep an eye on the investment, make sure that you are being profitable or whatever the case may be. You don't have to be an active part. And you got to be mature enough to recognize that, hey, you know what? I don't want to have to deal with that side of it. It's not my strength. I think this is something that you can do. All right, we just have a biblical reference that is taken from Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse is 9 to 12, and I'm just going to we'll read these interchangeably.
So two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor.
It says, "For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up."
Again, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone?
And finally, it says, "Though one may be overpowered by another, two can withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken." And this represents at the end here, if you and your spouse together in a relationship with God, you really have a union that helps you to even overcome some of the challenges that might come in running a business together, because you recognize that there's more to life than this business. And it's not to say you should run it in any less of a seriousness, but because you know that God wants the best for you, and even as you trust Him, we have a way of blessing you and also your business as well. But use some of these tips as a guide to help you. Again, it don't mean you have to get into it, but if you're going to do, take an opportunity to be nice to your partner,
Listen to your partner.
understand your partner's business style,
Help your partner.
as well as set aside business or free time for each other.
And when not to work with your spouse.
There's times that you just don't need to work with each other. Support your spouse, don't have to work with them. All right. If you found any value from these tips, please remember to like and subscribe. Click that notification bell so when we share more videos like this or go live, you will be notified. If the value was useful as well, share it with a friend, share it with someone that you think might need this advice, wondering should we work together or maybe they're already working together and need some tips. Definitely share it with their friends. We'll see you in our next live. Continue to support each other and be blessed.
Goodbye, everyone.